Okay, hello, welcome to a special development diary news report, Rogue report. This is the dev diary for the Rogue Core dev diary for July. It's different because you can probably see. I guess the thumbnail was going to be fairly traditional, but you can see that I'm doing a breakdown. You can also see me. There's something. I just thought it'd be good because I'm basically going to be reacting to something in this. As such, I'm fully aware this video might not comply with copyright guidelines. And I know that Ghost Ship are cool guys. They probably won't care, but I've chosen to not have this video be monetized, basically, because they put out today with something really cool, which is a like a full-on dev Q&A video with basically Aaron talking to Mikkel and Mike. Mikkel being the game director and chief creative officer of Ghost Ship Games, and Mike being the lead game designer of Rogue Core and Deep Rock. And I knew they were doing this. I think Aaron mentioned it a while ago, and that it would essentially be the dev diary for July. But when it hit today, I sort of found myself thinking, not really knowing exactly how I would handle it as a video. And I think I realised that I didn't want to go through it like by myself and then like try and extract what was interesting. I think I'd rather have the video playing in my video, and therefore just sort of absolve myself. Just not monetize it. Just no ads. Just do this like just raw basically, and just see how it goes. And just like I'll just stop it whenever I've anything I feel like I need to say. So yeah. Anyway, but this is overall the development diary for July 2025. Hello, Reclaimers. The Ghost Ship Games office is off on a summer holiday right now, so there's not a whole lot of development stuff to talk about this month. So we made a video for you instead. We recorded this in the last week of June as a casual midsummer update on the closed alpha. Join us for a chat about what we've learned from the playtest so far, our hopes and dreams, concerns and challenges, and our upcoming plans on the road to early access. So obviously I'll just read this little tagline still sitting at the end, because now we're just going to watch this thing. I don't know how much can be in it. I know there is Rogue Core footage in it, so the chances are me stopping to like talk might be just to point out things in the footage that I think are either new or interesting, basically. And also just whatever they say that I think is worth commenting on. I think it's going to be fairly obvious why this isn't monetized, but I'm okay with that.
Bam! We're starting. What's up, everybody? I am Aaron, happy
Aaron's
with
shirt,
Ghost Ship
brilliant.
Games. With me here sitting in these chairs, Mike, lead game designer, Mikkel, game director. And today we are talking Rogue Core.
Love these
What
boys.
we've learned, how the game has evolved.
Mike and Mikkel are sort of like how I see it. They're like Soren. There are like 5 founding members. I don't remember the 5th one, which I feel kind of bad about. But it's Mike, Mikkel, Soren, Robert, and someone else, and they're all incredibly important. Soren is the CEO of Ghost Ship Games. But like I said, like we just saw, and like I already said, Mike is the lead game designer. Mikkel is the game director and chief creative officer, and Robert is not only the voice of Mission Control, he's also the art director. So I sort of view those 3, Mike, Mikkel, and Robert, as like the primary creative force in terms of like primary creative leadership on like Deep Rock and Rogue Core. So I really do credit those guys to what makes like these games special from like an artistic and creative standpoint.
Of closed alpha, where we're at, where we're headed, all that stuff. Closed alpha launched in
Pretty sure this footage is from the initial closed alpha trailer.
A couple of months.
It already feels so long ago.
We've been busy.
Okay, been a couple of months. What are you guys feeling about how it's come so far?
I'm very happy, but again, like I said, we're crazy busy because there's been so much that we're trying to get done, and again, preparing for the next alpha release. And again, there's been already a lot of feedback coming in internally from outside.
The Bosco there, who probably won't look like Bosco when the game comes out.
We've already been moving on a lot of it, and
Massive formation. There's like this formation that we're seeing here is kind of like a combination between like the dwarven structures and also cave generation, because it's like a quarry zone, and I love that. Like, the quarry.
Rogue Core is constantly changing, and we're constantly kind of. It's not that it's
Devastator pistol.
down, but there's a lot of
Looks
small
fun.
things.
I think
that
it
we
has
are-
been like a huge relief actually starting this closed alpha testing phase. I think it has done a lot to how we actually work on the game.
And to get it out, just to get it off our chests.
Exactly, the fact that we are working on features, and we are always like now working on actually
screens.
showing it to the community.
Yeah, last time we talked, I remember you saying like, "Ooh, it's nervous to put this thing out in the
Yeah.
world for the first time and have it be perceived and
Yeah.
all that." And it is nice. Just like, well, now it's out there, and some parts are broken or whatever, and that's how it is. But then just to have
But
it
exactly, I mean,
process.
it's a rock falling from my heart. You can say it's really a nice state we are in right now.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
It's super nice.
Oh, I actually wanted to look at that because the buy boosters are.
It's really
Hold on.
it's
The buy boosters are like class specific upgrades, and I think you do choose from a deck of them. The one here, killing an enemy replenishes 10% of phase suit charge cooldown. Because so far what I've seen from Rogue Core is not too much experimentation with changing what your class abilities do, and I think that's something they do intend to do, especially with the meta progression. It's my understanding. So I'm glad to hear that, but there isn't too much of it in game. But this is a little bit of something. A lot of it so far, a lot of it in terms of like what you can do to your class abilities is really just cooldown kind of thing. Still,
super nice. Making new content and being in this process where
Yeah.
we are not sort of like, where we just open about what we do and we show it
Yeah.
immediately as we do it.
Mike, you mentioned feedback rolling in, and you guys are doing stuff about it. What are some of the biggest? I mean, so far since closed alpha update 1 or launch, what are some of the biggest like things that people responded to, or that people have been points of feedback that you mentioned that you guys have been taking in?
So I think like one of the things that I've been, you can say, pleasantly surprised, but also partially annoyed with. So there was this big concern about the friction of the co-op selection.
Yeah.
And that has actually
Yeah.
proved to be have even less issues and friction in it than even we expected. Instead, however,
could
we're
change
seeing
when
a
it
lot of
reaches a
friction
large
in getting
audience.
the team together. And so that is something that, again, we're working on getting Omega voice lines into all these different things. Whenever you do something that the rest of the team needs to.
speaking of Omega, Omega is basically the mission control for Rogue Core. It's AI companion that's with you all the time. And he's voiced by Aaron. And I think that Aaron does a great job. They clearly put a lot of effects over it, but Aaron's still doing a great job. And I still want your job, Aaron.
To be alerted, we need to kind of keep bringing people together, whether it's around Ellis or around an objective or things like that. That has actually, because people, they split up, they're on a time and they're going.
Yeah.
And so that has, so that's kind of like been a double-edged
How to
thing.
like soft guide cohesion in that sense.
Yeah, but or I don't know, we're maybe even going a little harder, where we're really trying to, again, add also lines of like, again, trying to call the team to action, saying like, I'm ready to get an upgrade. Everybody get over here, right? I mean, yeah.
But definitely, I think that like the co-op selection of gathering around Ellis and picking an upgrade, that is something where we are challenging the players a little, right? I mean, that you're not used to that kind of complexity or awareness of what the other players are doing.
Yes.
And so we are actually, it is something that the players will have to learn.
Yeah, I mean, there's the balance.
So another thing about the fact that if I sped the video up, it would only just about make Mikkel at the normal pitch of a normal person. His voice is so wonderfully deep, befittingly deep, one might say.
Between friction to the point that it provides structure and excitement in a game, and then also, but not bordering into like needless frustration. And I think that the team picking upgrades is the biggest example. Because when we first showed Rogue Core footage, people I remember on the live stream, people were like, "Oh, this is how we're gonna do it," kind of thing. And it is, I mean, I agree. From playing it in open lobbies and stuff, it's also just been, I don't know. It's rare that I've been like, it's more of like just like unlucky rolls that there's nothing cool.
Yeah, of
but
course.
rather than oh man, I get third pick or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I think I've been playing with a lot of randos as well in open lobbies, and I think that, and I've been playing like a couple of games with the people I just ended up with, and it had taken, I mean, the first time playing with a new group, you sort of need to find each other out and coordinate, learn to coordinate, right? But then on this already on the second run or the third run, we were running like a smooth machine.
yeah,
Okay, that's fine. I mean, for me, there's always like this, the one person who's like, the team's together, the three are together, and then there's one dwarf is like out there mining Expedite or something like that. So, I mean, stuff like that. The other thing is that, of course, and we knew, and as you stated in the video, the
I
other
believe
thing is
that
that, of course,
is an upgrade I haven't seen.
and we knew.
Sub-Zero Rage. For every frozen enemy within... What is that? Something tried to keep opening on my tabs. Go away. For every frozen enemy within 5 meters, you gain plus 50% melee damage. They've got so many things that actually affect melee damage. It's kind of crazy they haven't like acknowledged adding more melee weapons. I understand melee damage. I believe it affects the drills and slicers, sword. There should be more. If anything, I feel like the classes should have their own unique melee weapons. Like the Falconeer should have like a bowler. I think that's correct. Bastion, not Bastion. Ooh. Guardian should literally just use his fists. Spotter could have like a hunting knife or something. And Slicer, well, it's kind of weird, but I guess you'd have I think you just have like a smaller energy blade that comes out of his wrist or something, you know.
And as you stated in the video that everybody gets to see when they start up Rocore, right? I mean, this is rough and people.
This video that I haven't seen, because this is something you can only see if you have access to Rocore. It basically plays on the main menu, which is kind of cool.
Have to learn. There isn't really an onboarding experience that they go through. We're not hand-holding so much. But we need to communicate a lot more of what is going on in the game, and that is one of the things that we are working on right now, and wrestling the HUD, trying to figure out, okay, how can we get all this information in the HUD without making it look like a complete mess? And there's a lot to be done there.
It is actually also part of the secret sauce in what makes Deep Rock Galactic work. We are doing we're really doing what we can to inform the whole team about what is going on at any given time in Deep Rock, and that's the same thing that is either lacking or needing more of in Rocore.
In terms of like it needing more, and especially with fan feedback, right now in late June, with where Roguecore's at and what people are saying, both testers and also people who are watching footage and giving us feedback on Reddit and stuff, even if they haven't played, what are your biggest points of critique or biggest points of concern right now for areas where you think the game needs most attention or looking at?
Yeah, again, I think this.
We're probably coming with two very different answers now.
We probably are. So for me, it is kind of getting players to play Rocore, and this is especially because the majority of our testers are DRG players, and one of the big points of or issues that DRG veterans come upon is that when they approach Rocore and they see something that is very DRG-like, and they try to play it the way they play DRG, that doesn't work, right? Yeah. Because Rocore plays very differently from DRG.
Oh, I heard something about this. Apparently, this is basically an observation from Aaron, based entirely on the voice lines they had him record. He doesn't actually know this, but he's implied that there is a system where to be able to buy beers, you first have to use the exercise equipment, basically, which I think is awesome. I don't think it's going to be a very deep system, but I love the idea that they are playing into that. I think we had an idea about that as well, just using the workout stuff for some reason. And that could be it. Maybe if you need to, like, our idea was like to have like mini games that would like literally increase like your dwarf's. It's basically how you would sculpt your dwarf's body type or something. Doesn't seem to be the case, but
it's not as casual.
No, it's not as casual. I mean, but like
you can also see the planet orbiting behind them, or rather rotating behind them, because they actually are in orbit. Really cool. Although it's absolutely rotating way too fast, but I think that's literally just to sell the effect.
Your approach to it, right? People want to explore the caves, and in DRG we are playing on this exploration, and you're looking for minerals and you're mining and looking. But in Rocore, you are coming in. You got to just like go, check your corners, and clear the stage, grab as much exponent as you can, get in the elevator, get down, get to the boss. So like this. And once people get into that, right, their experience of Rocore changes, and then it becomes a question of more or less optimizing that process, right? And Rocore is very much about optimizing your run, optimizing how you make decisions, and also like just how you move through the caves.
Yeah, there's a sort of a challenge in like getting out of Deep Rock's like escape velocity, or like out from under Deep Rock's shadow in a sense, because of course that's a frame of reference of going into this. It looks like Deep Rock, and it's the.
And that's fair, because we're also building this on top of the success of Deep Rock and what people are expecting. So it's totally fair that you come with some knowledge and expectation from Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
But I think, if I can just add what I think the game is.
That was me.
I mean, I think we're very much focusing on making a single run work and experimenting a lot with what we do within a run. But I think the whole meta progression is something that we are lacking, and I think it's an area that I'm really looking forward to for us to get into the game or make more of. So you get into this feeling that there was one run completed.
Oh, I want to talk about this. You can see on the end of this weapon. Obviously, maybe it's kind of hard to gauge because maybe some of you haven't seen this weapon before because it's a new weapon for Rogue Core. I think it's called the Shock Striker. I think it's. If any of you played Survivor, DLG Survivor, it's basically the 4 bug taser. It's pretty much the same weapon. It shoots a single bolt of electricity that arcs out from the first enemy that it hits. So it's like a pure electrical weapon. So it's got an amazing gunsling animation for when you basically the dwarf like puts his finger through it and like it will make his finger either go really long or just like spaz out. It's great. But what's different about this weapon to normal is that it has like some kind of glow on the end of it. As in, it looks like it might have some kind of blood on it to you, like maybe alien blood or something. It's not that. It's actually more like it's actually more appropriate to see it as an enchantment. Basically, any weapon can be rolled to have an elemental effect on it, and basically the end of the weapon glows with the color to represent what element it has. Basically, that means this Shock Striker has either like corrosive or poison, I assume, as well as its base electricity, which is really cool. I noticed it first when I was watching one of the dev streams yesterday on a minigun, and that looked really cool. It's a poison minigun, so it had like a glowing green barrel. I was like, that's a very cool effect. There is so much polish in this game already that just gives it so much promise.
We need to do another run, and I think we're lacking that right now. And that is something that will be coming in the future.
What about in terms of with feedback from what people are saying again on Discord, Reddit, YouTube, wherever it is? What are your senses of like what are in highest demand for features to implement right now?
Well, I
Women, no.
think actually coming out of Alpha 2, the highest demand was like, please make it stable.
Yeah.
and that is actually like is one of the issues we hit upon, right? So we released, especially with Alpha 2, we decided to just like kick it out the door. And that was we're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't here, how rough can we go. And there we went too rough. And the thing is that, I mean, people are interested and they also want to help and they want to test, but they don't want to play.
This weapon, I think it's called the Cadna Field Emitter. I love it. It looks so good. It's basically like a rapid fire breach cutter pistol because it just shoots these just infinitely piercing waves. And they seem to have much more lifetime as well than breach cutter projectiles. They just look so fun. I just love it.
If there's like a 50% chance that each run
that hacking minigame needs to change though.
They want to test, but they don't want to play if there's like a 50% chance that each run is going to crash out, right? So I think looking towards Alpha 3, it's going to be much more important for us to make sure that it is.
Alpha 3 is currently live, by the way. They are post Alpha 3. Just want to point that out.
At least not like run-endingly unstable.
As in, this is recorded before Alpha 3 went live.
Right? It's okay that some things don't work. That's going to happen. But
So we are trying out now to push out updates to the closed alpha pretty rapidly, and we're experimenting with how much time we actually spend on testing and fixing bugs within the builds that we're releasing. And the problem is that normally when we do a season for Deep Rock Galactic or something like that, I mean, we almost spend a month in advance where we actually start closing down and wrapping up and fixing.
Yeah.
And we cannot do that. We are too early in the whole process of what we are doing, and we want to have momentum. So if we were taking out so much time in prepping an update for the closed alpha build, we will simply not get anything done.
Yeah.
And that means that we will be continuously pushing out updates that will have bugs and have issues.
Yeah. One, I would say,
Doesn't affect me.
fan-requested thing, which isn't maybe necessarily in the game itself, but invites to the closed alpha.
Yeah.
And as long as I've got you two on camera, maybe something to...
We're done now, I think.
Yeah. Well, thanks, folks. But
Invites.
Just, I mean, any...
like friend invites or what?
but also just like giving access to the closed alpha. But anytime it's a Steam blog, or basically anytime we make any
but I
noise or
think
movement.
actually
Quick
if
put
we
my
tie a
fan
little
on.
bit back to
Sorry
what I was
if that
talking
comes up.
about before
No.
with having unstable updates that we are pushing out to you guys out there, that is where we're hesitant of just like opening the gates and letting.
This thing's cool. This is basically the downed teammate resolution. Basically, if you leave a teammate, actually alive or not, but if you leave a teammate outside the elevator when you progress to the next stage, they'll be trapped inside this thing. And basically, it's like a mini boss that you have to fight to retrieve your fallen comrade.
A lot of people into a game that
see
is
in
crashing
action here.
and
Yes.
not working.
Yeah.
So
Actually, there's another thing I
a
want to
lot
point
of
out.
people into a game that is crashing.
This
It's like
guy,
opening the
this
gates
player,
and letting a lot of
has magic missiles active. Basically, whenever he shoots, or sometimes when he shoots, it will basically launch. It actually might be Wayward Sparks. There's 2 upgrades that basically add these sort of random homing projectiles that fire out of you when you fire, or have a chance to shoot when you fire, basically.
and letting a lot of people into a game that is crashing and
Yes.
not working.
Yeah.
So,
You're good.
so I mean that to us feels a little bit pointless. So until we are a little bit further, and I'm talking about like on the other side of summer vacation, right? We will be cranking up how many people we are letting in, but I think it will grow slowly.
Yeah.
But I can try to make a half promise that we will let more people in every time we do an update.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But also more than the previous time.
Yeah, but that's still fair enough.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, it's just important to also bring up, because I think that's also sort of the hardest to individually
Yeah.
explain, and it's something we try to do in streams and stuff, but I also get how if you aren't digesting every single piece of media about Roadcore, which is totally understandable, like
I
you
am.
think, oh man, like I'm the only one left out, and if you are left
Not at
out,
all.
you are in the vast majority, which is unfortunate right now, but in the future.
But
What about-
we are simply not ready yet to have the masses in and play the game,
yeah.
and it will come slowly. And this is maybe other studios do like a closed alpha as a marketing stunt, but we actually do it because we need your help in actually improving the game, and it does something about how we are making the game.
Yep.
That we actually know that we have people playing it that are not like professional developers, but actually playing it because they're fans of
Yes.
what we do.
We also had, I think, a number of folks asking at the start of like, I've played Deep Rock for 3,000 hours.
Yep.
Like, I should be in.
Yep.
What's your approach to that? How come we didn't?
You're
do
totally
That's not
right.
how it
You
works.
should probably be in.
That's not how it works.
Sadly,
Sorry.
the way that Steam's playtest is working is random.
Yeah. I mean, there is the challenge of like, how would we document that? We don't know how to document how many hours you have and put that into a system that then doles out invites. But then also the point of like, we have to.
That thing, by the way, that's called a core spawn regenerator. It's basically a unknown horror, but you pick it via choosing a risk vector, which is basically something that you choose in between each stage of a run, where you choose from each vector adds a permanent downside and a temporary upside. So something to find within the next stage that is positive, but it also adds a permanent, basically, warning, like mutator warning, like from Deep Rock. The Core Spawn Regenerator was one of them. It's basically this big fucking tough guy. I think you can basically kill it temporarily and then it regenerates. I think that is literally the idea behind it. So I want to see how they're dealing with that, because obviously the unknown horror is definitely not a beloved part of Deep Rock. We'll see.
But then also the point of like, we have to. There is sort of the Rogue Core in stepping out from the shadow of Deep Rock Galactic. Of you have to. Obviously, it should appeal to people who play Deep Rock, but if we've only made a game for them, and then if you are first coming to the franchise or whatever, Rogue Core, like it's so.
It's a balance.
It is a balance.
Yes.
What about, I mean, in terms of what people are asking for, is there anything that people are asking for that like you guys just disagree with? Like late joining is one we get asked about a lot, and I think in terms of concerns right now, we hear a lot about.
We've been talking about
So
that.
we're definitely not disagreeing.
Okay.
Oh.
No. I mean, we are struggling finding a good solution, but I think it is a totally fair point, and maybe the answer is that we are not going to have late joining.
Yeah.
But I totally understand it, and I wish that we had a very strong and easy solution for it. Maybe someone has an easy solution for it, but the thing is,
I've seen some suggestions coming from the community.
totally.
We watch a lot of like Reddit and YouTube suggestions and stuff like that.
But again, we also like as you can see, maybe me and Mikkel don't agree 100% here, right?
No.
But there's I think a lot of things going into the whole.
But we agree,
Should
though,
we have late joining or not?
But we also need to have a solid solution for it. And,
Yeah, that's if we were to
this-
have it.
And it
right?
comes with this issue that you are playing a roguelike where the team will be leveling up, and what state is a player late joining coming in? I mean, that is the challenge here that we're discussing.
I don't know why I feel the need to talk about this, but I do. I love this event. So The stages in Rogue Core are listed with they're littered with what they call expedite events. So basically, an amalgamation of every kind of random event that you find in Deep Rock. They sort of involve mechanics that you see in machine events, season events, other sort of random things like Betsy. This one seems especially cool because it's basically a zone in which you need to kill enemies. It's not a zone defense. It's not like a hold your ground kind of thing. You simply need to make sure you're killing enemies inside this zone, because when they do, basically expedite essence is brought out of them and funneled into a crystal that's forming in the center of this device. And I think it is timed in the sense that the value of the expedite crystal you end up with is dictated by how many enemies you killed. I think that's how it works, and I think that's really cool. That to me does speak to them actually having much more unique mechanics for these events. Because I know that's something that DLG historian was complaining about in his video, where he had actual criticisms, which, by the way, all of them seem fairly sound. And he wasn't wrong to point out the fact that they are reusing a lot of stuff from Deep Rock for the mechanics of these events, and he wants them to go wild. I think this kind of thing does show signs that they are doing some pretty cool stuff. So I'm personally not worried, but I can't deny there is a lot of repetition. Maybe those will change, especially like the bio boosters using the same hacking as the rival turret controller, and the not the patrol bots, the other thing, the comm router. Yeah.
Player late joining coming in. That I mean, that is the challenge here that we're discussing, right? So you've been playing 2 stages of Rogue Core. You've been collecting guns and artifacts and 4 upgrades and so on, right? And bio booster and workbench upgrades, right? And then someone comes in.
Yeah.
Okay, are they coming in vanilla? If they're coming in vanilla, there's a good chance that the host will just kick someone, and it will be too weak, right?
Yeah.
And then if they need to level up to the same level, that will take forever for them to pick upgrades. Or are we then just giving them a random bunch of upgrades? Well, maybe the host doesn't like that either, or the team thinks that's...
But most likely that's going to be weaker than when you were actually choosing.
So, I mean, it just has a lot of issues there, I think.
I think there's another element here, which is that the run is a journey that the team is taking together.
Yeah.
So if, like...
you don't want to like resent somebody for showing up once all the work's done at the end, and
but it's not even about them taking a shortcut. But the point is that they have not been through that journey with.
It's about the
rest
friends
of the
we
team.
make along the way.
Exactly, right? And then like nothing against the random, right? But if they show up, I mean, your relationship to them is a little different, right? Whatever their power level may be and wherever they may be. So I think. I mean,
one of the things, if I should do a positive spin on not having late join in Rogue Core, I think, though, that if you end up playing with a random team of people, there's a good chance that when you complete a run, that you will stick around with that team and actually playing the next run, because they are already there and they are available. Where in Deep Rock Galactic, we see a lot of, if you play with randoms, we see a lot of jumping around, right? The second you finish a run,
people disconnect,
people disconnect and jump into another server, right?
Which is fine for DRG.
That's totally fine for DRG. That's, I mean, I'm also playing like that, right? That's when I'm playing with randoms. But I really think that Rogue Core has a chance of actually forming these friendships or teams where you join up with random.
I think that's also the better way to play, like from your experience, right? I mean,
I think it's a different way to play, but I'm just saying I think Rogue Core will foster that kind of behavior here.
But I mean also because Rogue Core demands a little bit different things from a team, a little bit more coercion, so therefore being able to like cohesion, sorry, not coercion. Cohesion.
I almost corrected myself.
Playing with the same people, multiple runs will actually get
building
better.
pipelines.
You will know
I don't know
each
what that
other
one's
better.
for,
You'll be able to
actually. I haven't seen that
communicate better,
event
even if
in-game.
you're not on voice comms or whatever, right? I mean,
But it's familiar
then maybe
mechanic.
that dwarf that is always over there by run 3 will have learned to like stick with the team or something like that, right?
Another, like, what about, I think comms issues, I think, are another concern that we're seeing more, where in Deep Rock you have more time and breathing room to laser ping something or rock and stone enough that you get attention. Rogue Core, you are a lot of times moving so fast that you might not have time to say, hey, what about this? Should we go and do this event before? Like, is there any concerns other than from your guys, any systems you're thinking about?
I think there are concerns, and I think we're experimenting with it. That's the short of it, I think.
What are you looking at so far?
For example, right now we have, so the way we have constructed the closed alpha is that you can just play 3 runs that are, of course, randomly generated, but they are in increasing difficulty, right?
Yeah.
And you have the same time per stage to complete every stage.
Whoa, okay. This is new. I don't know if this is actually in... I don't know if this is in the current alpha like playtest or not. As far as I know, it might not be. So this might be more of a mock-up. But either way, this is important because the run selection or the map. And by the way, we knew there was going to be a map. We knew it wasn't just going to be like free just blocks of information about a run, and that's what you pick from. But up until this point, assuming this is current or at least next alpha update, before that point, before this, it was just free options, just free runs of just sort of like, I think it's like 4 stages, 5 stages, and 6 stages, and they're slightly harder than each other. This is much more like what it's going to be. I don't really know what the stuff. I shouldn't be pointing with my finger, should I? I don't really know what this stuff means so much. I think I'm starting to figure it out, actually. I don't know what this is. Security Access Alpha. Probably not finalized anyway, but I think I can figure out what's going on here. So you have all of the biomes. Well, not all of them. Actually, is it all of them? Magma Core, Glacial Starter, Dense Biozone. Dense Biozone is there. I think that might be all of them, actually. Anyway, so you have the biomes here, and they have, I guess it will still have random, like, rotations of missions, but I guess it's like level 2 and level 3 site access, and these currently have level 3s on them. Level 1s, I guess, will always be available, but you need to earn level 2 site access. Looks like none of the ones available have level 2. Some have level 3, which is not... I don't really know what's going on here, but I think there's some kind of system where you basically build up into levels of site access, and it's kind of that represents what runs available at a given time. I guess it's clearly early stages, but it's cool to see that instead of what has been in the alpha before that point. In fact, this is not actually that hard to find myself. This is the most recent dev stream they did, and I believe it should not be hard at all to find this exact instance of the game. Although, actually, it looks like they might have their run selected already. Oh, no, they don't. Okay, so let's just skip through a bit. There you go. So this is what it looks like currently. This is in update 3. So whatever we're looking at here is not in the current version of the alpha. But it's clearly what they're leaning towards as far as what the run selection is going to look like. This is what it looks like currently. Very clearly a placeholder. So just wanted to sort of confirm that. Anyway, let's go back a little bit, recontextualize what they were saying. Don't look at that. That's private.
An increasing difficulty, right?
Yeah.
And you have the same time per stage to complete every stage as you move deeper into the mining facility. And one of the things that we've been discussing
I
is
was
well,
hoping
on
you
the
to
first
click onto the biome.
facility, the first run, you could have more time per stage, right?
Yep.
And then it gets harder.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, for example, could happen. It could also be that we add more stuff for you to do in harder runs than what you have in the beginning of playing the game.
Yeah.
But I think also in terms of communication, again, going back to this thing where we're trying to automate some of these things. If we know that somebody would want to say, hey, come here.
Yeah.
So one example is that, every time somebody would find a toolbox for the workbench, right? They would come and they would say, okay, workbench is ready, right? So now we have that automated. So
Yeah,
the moment you do
Omega
that,
says
Omega
to
says,
everyone,
hey, workbench is ready.
That or BioBoost or something like that.
Exactly.
I can see that. Anyway.
But I also think must remember that if you see a group of professional Deep Rock Galactic players playing on Hazard 5+,
Professional.
Yeah, there's not a lot of time to chat either.
there's no time to chat and they are running like a machine.
Yeah, true enough. If you're watching this and you have ideas for communication or for late joining, make a YouTube video about it, comment it, make a Reddit post. Mike will
Mail
watch
it to Aaron.
Don't.
I guess so. My suggestion, I can't really make an informed suggestion. Outside a point of view based on what they're saying, I understand why you wouldn't be inclined to add late joining. I think it makes sense to not have it. Because it's kind of diminishing returns. Like the person late joining is not the only thing they have to gain is the ability to play with a friend who's already started playing. Just wait for them to finish their run. It could be a while. Maybe start your own. It could be a bit awkward, but at the same time, you can acknowledge the fact that they're going to have a subpar experience by late joining. Could just be as simple as that. Like, as in, the fact that it's going to be a subpar experience for me doesn't mean that it shouldn't be available to the person. It's sort of like, having an easy mode in a From Software game, right? I think it would make those games a lot more accessible. But it's still a subpart. It's still a less faithful experience. It's less faithful to the creative vision of the game. But I still think it should be there just for accessibility reasons. Like you know, it just lets more people play your game, basically. I hope that was a fairly sound take. Probably less sound than a pause button. No game should be without a pause button. Obviously.
Mike, I will forward it to Mike.
Yes.
Find Mike on Discord, and Mike will watch it. That's call Mike. Ring him up. Give him a call.
Phone number here.
Yeah. We're getting a landline directly to his house. It's got a really loud alarm. Wake him up any time of day. He'll hear your ideas.
I don't have a landline in my house.
We're working on it.
Thanks.
Speaking of that, what are current ways for? We've talked a lot about fan feedback and stuff. What are your guys' main methods or main mediums, platforms, or whatever of digesting what folks are saying?
Yeah, so for me, it is Discord and mostly like YouTube videos, a little bit of Reddit. The subreddit is still fairly small, and the subreddit, I still check it. Nice things pop up there. But otherwise, Discord is our main one. And again, we have a dedicated closed alpha section in Discord, which, by the way, when you get access to the alpha, there is a button that says to join that
I don't have
section.
I don't
it's not to join our Discord. You probably already are on our Discord, but it's to get access to that special section where you can give feedback, and there's like forums.
But it's not just feedback. You can also find other players who actually have access to the closed alpha.
Yes, exactly.
I think also to point out as well, I know that like internally at Ghost Ship, we have our channel. We'll share videos, like video reviews or gameplay footage or people's comments and ideas.
Yep.
And I think also to point out for
there's no more gameplay
watching
footage in
who's
this.
shared your ideas or has some takes on it, and even if you don't have access to the closed alpha, we still read those and still check it out. So it's just important to say that it's not like only the closed alpha invitees or that's like.
Aaron's moustache is the exact same. He's basically got 3 eyebrows. They're all the same.
Secret club of people that have access. It's anyone who has a take, good or bad, short or long, whatever platform, Mike's looking at it.
I'm also looking at a little bit.
Also,
Yeah, what about you, Mega? What are your main...
But I think, what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cop-out answer.
but a good one because
Because
I said it all.
Yeah. Time-wise, I just want to, thinking about moving ahead toward it's June now. Still
Sure
plan
is.
Sure is.
Oh.
It's that month of June.
End of June, even.
End of June, and we feel great.
Yes.
And early access, still aiming for end of the year.
Yes.
What's the plan between now and then? Any development-wise? Sorry.
Summer holidays. Summer holidays is the
Yeah,
plan.
we'll cut the video.
Summer vacation. It's not really bringing us closer to the early access.
No.
Opening a beer.
No.
No, right now we're trying to figure out whether or not we can get an alpha out before summer vacation.
Yeah.
So whether
And
alpha
they
3
did.
would be before summer vacation or after summer vacation.
Yeah.
Cutting close, we'll see.
Yeah, we're trying.
Yes.
What about in terms of what the game needs or development from here? Like if you're making a to-do list of things you really hope to see implemented before early access, what's on there? Talking.
The meta progression that
You
Big was
mentioned
talking
that.
about. Yes.
I
definitely.
think the meta progression, because that's really where the game will be coming together, I think. That is where the meta progression will start adding more meaning into what you do in a single run. And I think it will help us in just making the game.
Yeah. And also, on the other side, it's not that this is a new thing to bring in, but there is a tremendous amount of balancing that still needs to be done. Right.
Plenty of nerfing for Mike to do. Cool. Well,
That's when the fun starts.
That's unfortunately right now. First, we need to buff a bunch of things, but we're buffing willy-nilly right now, and
But think
so
about it like
get
this.
to nerf it all
The
back
more-
down.
The more buffing you do, the more nerfing you have in store.
Exactly. It's
you just make new games so you have more things to nerf, Mike. I think that's what we got time for at the moment. We're going to wrap it up. But folks, if you've got more questions for us as a studio, for Mike, for Mikkel, for any other department of Ghost Ship Games, ping us on Reddit, YouTube, Discord, on stream, platforms of choice. We would love to hear what you have to say and chat with you about that. So, main camera, guys.
I see it. There it is.
You didn't see it. I saw it.
Okay,
Mikkel's
fine.
been staring at it.
I've
for
just been
hours.
staring at it.
All right. Main camera. If you got things you want to know about Ghost Ship Games, Rogue Core game development, ping us on Discord, YouTube, Reddit, whatever internet platform you choose. We would love to talk to you and hear what you have to say. That's all for now. Do we have anything else? We're all good, right?
We're all good.
All right. Go
Rocket
Shoot
Stone.
Games out. Smoke bomb.
Brilliant. And that was that. I don't have like a strong closing statement per se. I will say I'm on the same lines as them. I think the game looks really polished so far. I think they want to make sure they've gotten at least 2 more classes in the game. The backtracker is coming together, as it seems. Obviously, it might not be called that. We're not sure. I think the plan is to still have 6 classes in total on launch. I think that should be the goal. And I think they will probably still try and get a couple more enemies and weapons and maybe even events and stuff like that. But I am on the same lines as them, as meta progression being a big thing to just at least begin, have the foundations of, be there on early access launch. The meta progression is what's going to give you the incentive to play over and over again, to get like hundreds of hours, maybe even thousands of hours in this game. It's going to be the meta progression and eventually the customization. You know, those are the things that will feed the game, make that already very satisfying gameplay loop never not be satisfying, because there's an external benefit too. It's like what you gain once you get back to the hub, you know, once you get back to the ramrod, what you can do with what you gained from that run. It's extremely important. So I'm definitely on the same lines as them. I don't think there's going to be any more like real information apart from what's in there. I did actually want to have a quick look at what might have been maybe like comments on this. You can ignore all of my suggested YouTube suggestions. Hiring Aaron is one of the best decisions Ghost Ship Games ever made. I actually agree. I did for late join. Keep track of unused options. Unused options when teams are leveling up. You give the new joining player the best choice for each. Best choice. That's kind of weird. Maybe build a tree for the unused option to compare final attributes onto player. Leaves. Revert the options. Give them back into a pool. That's quite. Yeah, the procedure thing sounds a little bit unwieldy. Like them having to go through a selection of upgrades or something. Big opportunity to add more characterization within the classes. There definitely will be. As far as I know, it's still the plan for the Falconeer to be a female character, and therefore the plan is to have a female actress, a voice actress, voice the character. Late join should be an option by the host. Enable or disable it. 2 to 3 random builds, 15 seconds to choose. Wow, that would be quite breakneck. Proximity chat. Okay. Anyway, let's just sort of wrap this up. Hope everyone's having a nice summer so far. We're taking a couple of weeks to travel and hang out and unwind, and we'll be back in late July / early August to pick back up on things. We'll talk to you then, and they will. And I'm very excited for when things sort of get back into gear and we see more of Rocore, more sort of like public-facing things, like about like the release and whatnot. That's stuff I'm definitely looking out for. But either way, I think it's a really fantastic thing for them to do. I hope. I definitely strive to give a fair amount of commentary here, but I still am going to stick to my guns. This is not going to be a monetized video. There's no way I can't really justify it for myself, at least. Even if it's technically fair use, it might be, might not be. Almost definitely isn't. I just know that Ghost Ship probably wouldn't care, but I personally do, and I'd rather just I kind of brute force my way through this, a very off the cuff, sort of unwieldy way of recording this kind of thing. So I'm more comfortable sort of acknowledging the different approach here by just, you know, I don't need to put ads on this. What am I saying? Of course, we don't do mid-roll ads anyway, but that's not the point. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this or found it useful, please make sure to like, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Anyone to stand to about things do deep rock and rollcore, as you would by watching videos like this, please make sure to click the bell. It seems as though I had sunk during the video, during the recording. That's my chair slowly lowering itself to the ground. Anyway, I'll see you. I'll see you on Tuesday, basically. I think it's Volatile Bullets, I think. Overclocked Showcase. I'll see you there.